Hey everyone, welcome back. I've been meaning to make this video for quite a while, pretty much ever since the Infernal Hordes ever launched back in like Season 5, I think. There's been quite a few articles written about it. There's been quite a few content creators making videos. I even helped participate with one. However, there's still quite a few people who don't seem to know all the mechanics, how they work, how all the picks really work and affect your run, or really even just how to play in a party. So I really have been wanting to make this video to try to help that a little bit and just get my perspective on things, give you my formula, my method, and all my advice for how to make this the best possible aspect of the game for you. It is one of the most enjoyable parts of the game for me, and I hope you enjoy. Starting out, there are three sources of Obducite in the game: Nightmare Dungeons and Kuros Undercity, but also Infernal Hordes. In the Nightmare Dungeons, this is according to Old Blaze's Season 6 Reddit data he posted about 8 months ago, so it's probably a bit outdated, but I just throw this up here just to have it. According to him, he got about 45 to 52,000 per hour from the Nostrava Deepwood and Alder's Cave. Now, while this is a very high reward, there's a lot of things to mention here. Running back-to-back the Nightmare Dungeons like this can be very tedious and time-consuming. You have to be very focused, doing speed runs, ignoring pretty much everything else. It can be a bit boring, and these drop rates are probably very outdated. So this is not for everyone. Remember, Season 6 was the one with opals, which increased Obducite drop rates. So ignore these numbers. I probably shouldn't have even put them here, but it's a good source of information, right? Alright, in Kuros Undercity, using the Tribute of Refinement, you can get 2,500 per every 2 to 3 minute run, and that's either solo or in a party of 4, which averages out to about 50k per hour. Now, while this is probably the highest reward currently in the game at this point in Season 8, you do have to remain very focused. Public parties, it's very easy to get distracted. People get lost, not knowing where the exit is, or they think they have to kill everything and they don't. There's obvious delays for other reasons, bugs, teleporting, voting, salvaging inventory, etc. So that can get a little tedious and annoying, and for my money, the best source, the most fun, is Infernal Hordes. Now, when I'm doing it, I get about 6,000 to 8,000 a minimum per every 15-minute run. That's one 10-wave key, and that averages out to about 24 to 32 per hour if I do 4 back-to-back. Now, public games tend to be easier to manage per every event. There's less distractions. It's a very unique, fun, visceral playstyle, face tanking and clearing all these enemies en masse. But it's much more simple and enjoyable to me, and you also get more specific loot drops. You do have a lower Obducite reward, but overall, I still think this is the better option, and it's more fun. There are 3 key details to remember in Hordes. Having a high DPS AoE build is a must. Every single class has some sort of area of effect damage build, so it's not hard to throw one together, even if it's a spare that you're not using as your main. However, a lot of Sorks are good for this, Rogue builds are good, Necromancer builds are good, even Barbs and Druids have a good build as well. Now, the options for the bonuses are all random number generated, so you don't get to affect or control which ones you get. You just got to make the best of what you've got, which means you got to know the picks, and I recommend following my 2n plus a factorial method. What is the 2n plus a factorial method? Well, it is an algorithm used in C-suite programming for all sorts of things. You don't really know nothing about this, but it's used for memory, counting, sorting, all sorts. Anyway, I'm just using that name because it works as a metaphor, where it's an algorithm, but in the aspect of Infernal Hordes, you're pretty much custom building an algorithm with your picks to the bonuses, where the end result is as if you're just adding numbers to a column of a spreadsheet for 10 runs and 10 waves, and the end result is your total, ether, or Obducite. In this case, 2n is represented by the Surging Elite option. 2n equals 2x spawn rate, but also plus a factorial is represented by the Surging Hellborn option. Plus a factorial equals +1 spawn rate and +1 ether, and this gets to be exponential in rewards when you're talking about multiplicative later on. Now, In order to explain how it works, your top priority is to take Exalted Elite to unlock the Insurging Elite option. As soon as Exalted Elite comes up, just take it once so that you can then potentially get the Surging Elite option. You might not get it, but if it pops, you can take it then. Second priority, take any Hellborn options after taking that one Exalted Elite, as many as possible. Third step, then add the Surging Elite when it comes up and Surging Hellborn anytime it does when they appear. Finally, only add in whatever replacement is best of the worst possible options when you have no better choice. Alright, any other thing to mention? Yes, when you're in Hordes, avoid using positions. Only the best AoE builds can really use this strategy, and you may miss etheric spawn events that you might need to team up on to make sure you kill everything. It is a bit less focused and not necessarily clearing as fast, so it does get a bit boring as well. You should instead be focusing on lowering the time to kill as much as possible. Running to those mobs or those ether spawn events is going to help you clear them faster and overall better. Alright, let's get through these picks. The F tier is your garbage option, and you should never pick any of these. That's Gorging Masses, Bursting Fiends, and Corrupting Spires. Gorging Masses is when you are going to slay an etheric mass and it'll slow you for 8 seconds, but give you unlimited resources at that time. Really, you're not going to be worried about your resources at any point because you should be using a high DPS area of effect build, and you shouldn't have any problems with resource at that point. So this needs to be gone. Bursting Fiends, the only thing it does is it makes Ether Fiends explode when you kill them and damage enemies around them. If you don't have an enemy around, it's not going to do any good. Plus, if you already have plenty of damage, you're not going to need any more of this, and you shouldn't. If you've got that build you're supposed to have, you're going to be fine without this. Corrupting Spires may add a little bit of utility by pulling foes inward to that circle. However, you're using an AoE build, so you aren't really going to need that so much, and you kind of can clear them around the edge, and you still can get credit for them. So this is overall pretty pointless. Alright, this is the C tier. Because this is a master class, there is no D tier. Anything below a C in a master's level course is a failure. These are the best of the worst possible options, and you should only pick them when you have no other better choice. The same is true for the B tier, the next one. However, those are marginally better just for the synergistic effects that they have. We'll go over that in a second. For now, the Burning Rains, where Hellfire rains down on you at the end of every wave, makes you get 3 to 9 ether. Well, you can only get this after the first round at the start of round 2, so that's not even a full 90 at the end of round 10 if you did start it then. You're going to get 87 or 81 max and 27 minimum. So really, that's a very small bonus to try to get after 9 waves, and you're going to be doing about 100, 150 per waves 5 and 6 once you get all the right multipliers. So overall, this is a wasted choice. If you have a better option, you should take it instead. Summon Lords is really bad and very deceptive. People tend to see the +3 and think, oh, that's a higher number, I'll take that. However, it's non-additive and non-multiplicative. The Aether Lords are not elites, so they do not get the bonus from any of the lead options, which is all multipliers and additives. So terrible, terrible flat rate 3 every time. Plus these spawn, so they take the place of your ether spawn events, which would otherwise be full of elites. If you've already taken by wave 4 or 5 at least one Hellborn or one elite option bonus, you are not going to want to take Summoning Lords anymore. You're only going to want to take a Summoning Lords early on if you haven't taken a Hellborn or elite. The reason being is because they would have eventually replaced them. However, if you take Hellborn and elite options after this, starting in round 3 or 4, and you took this in round 2, let's say, well, then you're just replacing the Ether Lords with your elites, which is then, that's okay. But only early on, and only if you haven't already taken at least one Hellborn or one elite option. Insatiable Spires, this one is tricky as well. It requires 2 times more kills to kill a Spire, and 2 times more ether. However, that 2x number doesn't equal a good multiplier here at all. The base ether drop from Aspire is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, period. Whereas the other Spire, it adds 2. 2 plus 2 is also 4. So that's going to be the better option if you have it. And this one is only better if you've taken the other one already. Still, this is going to increase your time to kill by just a little bit. So even though it's marginally, like, the Ether Lords are bullet sponges and they're going to take a little bit longer to kill, increasing your time to kill, it's only a marginal difference. But even still, you're going to have that high DPS build. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. But regardless, this is a hindrance where the other one isn't. Ether Rush, this one is the only one here. I mean, it's debatable. It could be a garbage option. It could be a B tier. It lowers your time to kill, right? Like, it increases your movement speed by 8 seconds after you gather Ether. So it's going to help you get to that next mob and kill it faster. It's only a very, very small, like half a second difference. So it's really not that great, which is why it sticks here in the C tier. The controversial part of this slide is going to be these boss bonuses, I'm sure. Everyone thinks adding plus 15 to the bosses seems to be a good thing. You already get plus 15, and if you were to get all 4 of these, that would be a total of 75 upon killing the boss. However, these are only really good in like the last few rounds if you do not have a better option, like an elite spawn or a hellbomb bonus, because those are additive and multiplicative, and those are the ones you're going to be focusing on stacking anyway. So you're going to get a much better result from adding those at the tail end versus these. So only pick these if you do not have a multiplicative option that's better. The B tier is the kind of okay mid-tier options, good in a pinch, but again, only if you have no better choice. The reason these are separated from the C tier is because these top 4 have a good bit more synergistic effects. Draining Spires, just like I explained with the other one, base Spires have 2. This adds 2 more. You get 4. It drains a little life, but you got plenty of XP. These don't increase your time to kill, so these are better. Burning Masses actually add plus 2 at base as well. So Bursting Masses is really good here when you get Wave Start, a free Etheric Mass. It's a free 2. And you get about 3 or 4 per round regardless anyway. So you're just adding a little extra throughout the round. Like, if you get Exalted Masses and you add plus 1 to all those Etheric Masses, well, instead of 2 times 4 being, 8? You'd add 3 times 4 for 12. And if you get 4, that's 16. But also Teaming Masses is going to add an Ether Lord when you kill that mass. So even though it's a little bit of a bullet sponge, you can still kill it fast and you'll get a free spawn. That Ether Lord, just like the mass at the start of the wave, is not going to replace your etheric spawn rate that you're going for when you're filling that bar up during the wave. So these free spawns are going to help give you just a little additional boost. Even still, only take them all when you have to, and you can see how the synergistic effect here works. Let's say you take Etheric Mass, and you get 1 at Wave Start, and you get Teaming Lords as well. So Exalted Mass would give you 16 throughout the whole realm, but then you add 3 or 4 of those, and what is that? That's like 24 per round. So that's pretty good, especially because these are mostly the white normal tier of rarity, meaning you can get them very early on, and just if you get no other better choice early on, you can stack a few of these on and get an extra 25 per wave-ish. Invigorating Hellborn and Stalking Devil are on here as kind of an honorary bid to the B tier. The Invigorating Hellborn invigorates you when you slay a Hellborn, which invigoration adds plus attack speed and movement speed and cooldown reduction. So it's going to help you get to the mob a little bit faster, kill it a little bit faster, and then recover a little bit faster as you get to the next one. Pretty good bonus, will help you build your ether rate. The Stalking Devil, this one is really only good because it gives you plus 75 where it used to be plus 25. So it's going to be a good bit of a boost. If you're really struggling early on in waves 4, 5, and 6 and haven't gotten a lot of the A and S tier options, this can just give you a little bit and help you jump back up to where you should be. Alright, the A tier, the bread and butter standard options. You should pick these at every possible opportunity because these are your additive and multiplicative effects here. Okay? Summon Hellborn, Exalted Hellborn, and Burning Hellborn all give you +1 ether. Burning Hellborn used to give 2 additional ether, but it did get updated, so they're all pretty much standard that way. Hellborn at base, they will spawn 2, and each one of those 2, when you kill them, will give you 1 ether. So adding 1 ether to each one is a little bit of a multiplicative effect. So if, let's say, you get Summoned, Exalted, and Burning, you're adding +3 to each kill. So that's 2 times 3 is 6. All right. Then you've got Exalted Elite and Unstoppable Elite. Like I said, I recommend taking an Exalted Elite at least 1 time, and then only if you're not getting a Burning or a Hellborn option. But they give you the Elite bonuses, damage plus 25%, and Elites become unstoppable. Hellfire or Hellborn are also Elites, so they will get those bonuses as well. But taking the Exalted Elite or Unstoppable Elite will give you +2 ether to Ether Fiends. Ether Fiends are elites, and you get 1 per spawn, so 2 ether plus 1, or 1 kill equals 2 ether, just like 2 Hellborn equals 2 ether. Alright? Then, Exalted Hordes will give you +50% spawn rate to ether events, meaning you just kill all those normal monsters, and you get more ether events 50% faster. I recommend taking 1 of these if you get it, 2 at most, but do not take them in place of an elite or elite bonus. That's any of these Hellborn or Exalted options right here. We want to make sure you get those more than the Exalted Hordes. Only take 1 or 2 at most if you have to. Alright, these are the S tier home run options. You should always pick these options. They are the Surging Elite, which gives you the chance for elites being spawn is now doubled. It also adds +2 to the Ether Fiends, but what you really want it for is that double spawn rate for elites. You want as many elites as possible so that you can absolutely knock it out of the park with your ether collection. You can only get the Surging Elite option once per all 10 rounds, okay? That's why this one is a little harder to get, and it's a little bit of a downside to it. So you just take that Exalted Elite 1 time and pray and hope you get Surging Elite as an option throughout the rest of the rounds. Otherwise, look for the Surging Hellborn. You can get this multiple times per run. I've gotten it 3 times in a run, multiple times. It can be done. I don't know if you can get it more than that. Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen it. But it adds +1 Hellborn when spawned, and Hellborn get +1 ether. So this is that exponential aspect here. When you're getting 3 Hellborn now, and instead of 1 ether per, it's now 3. It's now 3 for 3, and you just keep adding it with all the other Hellborn options you get that are going to boost your ether rate, and those numbers that you get from Hellborn are going to go through the roof. So again, always pick these options to knock your ether count out of the park. These are the best options in Hordes. So here, I'm going to go right into it. You can see this is one run I did recently today, where I managed to get, I think this one ends up to about 1,500, maybe a little bit more. I've currently got 1,300 here at wave 10, and I'm going to pull up my picks here at the end, but what I've done is I've stacked that Surging Hellborn as much as possible, and I've got Surging Elite here as well, I think. But as you can see, I'm just using that AoE build. I'm using that Minion Earthquake, which is Call of the Ancients with Whirlwind, Shouts, and Rupture, and all my legendary aspects are giving me Earthquake effects. Every skill I do is going to leave an earthquake under my feet. So everywhere I go, I'm staggering these shouts out as much as possible to spread them all over the map, kill enemies as they spawn, make them chase me as I go to ether events, and try to kill as many Hellborn as possible. So yeah, this one ended up being, I think, 1,598, so almost 1,600 just from this run alone. Here's where you're going to see the Banes and the boons. And I'm just going to dump it all right into that Obducite chest. In just a sec. We're chatting here. I'm braggart. I got 1596. It's a good run. That's probably about 9,000, maybe 10,000 Obducite right there in that run. And while that 1600 is not common, you can see I did this with 2 sorcerers and a necromancer, as well as me as the barb. Here's another run. Not going to go through the whole 10 waves with this one. There is going to be another video after this slide, which is 2 full runs, so you can see me as I do the picks and as I play. I'm not going to talk throughout all that, but I'll come back at the very end for a little bonus trivia, a little bit of my story, how I got to this point as a gamer. But you can see I'm still using those AoE effects, and this one was, I want to say 2 times Hellborn, Surging Hellborn, and Surging Elite as well. Might have just been more Hellborn, but this one came out to exactly 1500 on the nose. I also did this one earlier today with a group of people. Want to thank everybody who participated and helped me out making these videos. I was recording without you guys knowing. Oh, sorry. I hope you don't mind. But here you can see, yep, I've got that Elite. I actually only got 1 Surging Hellborn bonus here, but I did get the Surging Elite. And it just added in a bunch of other stuff. So you can pause it and go back and see what I did. But again, I'm just going to dump it all into the Obducite chest. Exactly 1500 on the nose, which, yes, I'm going into chat bragging about once more. And this is probably closer to about 9,000 Obducite right there for 1500. And again, this was another barbarian. This was 2 other barbarians and a rogue with me as a barbarian. So that was a pretty good run as well. All right. So then this run, I've stacked just Ether Fiends bonuses, Hellborn bonuses, and this is Ether Lords coming from Teeming Masses with an additional Etheric Mass at wave start. I've got the Surging Elite bonus and 2 Surging Hellborn bonuses when this one came out to just under 1400 at like 1362 or 1394 I think is what it was. You'll see for just a second. But yeah, you can see I got 1360 right now. I'm running in, killing the boss. Oh, this one was like 1375. Yeah, not terrible. Still under about 1400. So this came out to about, I had 61,000.3 Obducite here, and this came out to 8,300, which brought me to 69.6, I believe. Yeah, for about 8,300. Yep, there you go. So you can see that's a pretty good return for one of these runs. But after this, I'm about to start a new run, and I'm just going to let this video play for the next 30 minutes. You do not have to stick around for all of it, but you'll see how I start every party when I got a newcomer come in just a second when I start this wave, because that one guy left and now someone's replacing him. I'm just going to start the key, have everybody voting, and then I'm in the chat saying, welcome and thank you for joining. Please allow me to handle all the picks when we're in Hordes, and just good luck and have fun. And it's just a little bit of a polite messaging, just to kind of set things off on the right note. People tend to really appreciate it. It kind of, if anybody's not paying attention in chat, they may still pick, and I'll kick them. But hey, at least now most people are paying attention to their chat. They're going to see that. They're going to know not to take the picks and just let me do it. And I've gotten plenty of good messages, people saying, oh, thanks for saying that. I hate it when people steal all the picks. So just don't do it. If you're stealing picks and running into people's games and just picking things at random, you don't want to mess with people's algorithm. You don't want to mess with their choices or take their control away from them. Let them do their choices and run their algorithms the way they want. But that's it for now. Enjoy the rest of the video, and if you're still here at the end, I'll come back about halfway through the next wave, or the next round at wave 5 of 10, and I'll give you a little bit more personal background on me, my story as a gamer, but also a little bit of trivia about Infernal Hordes and where they came from. But thanks for joining me. If you're leaving now, good luck and have fun in the Hordes, and we'll catch you next time. All right, I said I'd come back and tell you a little bit more about me, my personal story as a gamer, and a little bit of trivia. I have been a lifelong hardcore gamer since I was a little kid. I first got a Nintendo Entertainment System a long time ago as a kid. My favorite game was Legend of Zelda. I got that one year as a gift from my dad and really tore into it. I was like 6 years old and just absolutely devoured it. And when I got stuck, I would write in letters to Nintendo Power because my dad bought me a subscription, and they made this whole like 2-page portion of this article with all my questions in it. And I was such a huge, amazing fan. It was such a big moment for me that really like started me out as a gamer and like getting into all the secrets and things. But I've been a gamer ever since. Love Diablo is my favorite series of all time. I got into the first one as a kid as well with a buddy of mine, and it was just tons of fun. I remember being blown away by the gameplay, the itemization, the atmosphere of it all, like just the butcher fight and everything. Like, it was such a great game. I really enjoyed it. Played Diablo 2 with friends as well for years until Diablo 3 launched. Got into Diablo 3. Kind of became known as one of the original Big Mac barbs. It was a thing back then. It was one of the original builds that was accessible to anybody. For the price of a Big Mac, about 10, 12 bucks, you could go on the Real Money Auction House, buy all the pieces of the gear that you need, throw it together, and have it be a good top tier build. When I did it, I went on a stream for a gear check and struggled with it a little bit, and then broke it down and was really trying to figure out why I was struggling with it so much. And that's when we did some follow-up videos with, I think, Quinn69 and Riker, actually, because we found out that a lot of the gear that was on the Real Money Auction House was being oversaturated with all the low-end options. And this was when we were starting to figure out what the breakpoints were for things in the game. And we realized that I didn't, even though I had all the right gear, none of it had the right numbers that I needed to be able to pull off the build adequately. So what we ended up finding and doing these videos about was how rigged the auction house was, because it was actually, at that point in time, a price of 2 or 3 Big Macs would be required to do what the original Big Mac barb was supposed to be. And this led to a lot more research into the Real Money Auction House on how everything was rigged for money for people who were either duping or just throwing all sorts of gear on there to make money, and essentially rigging the Real Money Auction House. Months and months went by, and we started noticing this more and more, and eventually it led to the Real Money Auction House getting taken down. But that was kind of how I got started interacting with a lot of the streamers and getting my name out there and becoming what I call like a semi-pro gamer, so to speak. After that, I got into Marvel Heroes in about 2014 through 2016. It was a lot of fun. The game was created by David Brevik, who was the original creator of Diablo. And it was a Diablo clone, although it was designed to be different than the standard action RPG, where the characters were less the typical standard class and more supposed to be the characters more like the Marvel hero characters, you know, from the comics and the movies. And they started doing these reviews to update the characters and things, and I would make these forum posts talking about the characters and the skills, and I knew both Marvel and the game very well, so I was able to write up these posts with my thoughts and feelings and opinions, and eventually I just started doing that so much that David Brevik would have the designers wait for my posts to redesign the characters based on my feedback every time. And it was a really amazing experience to work with the Marvel Heroes team, even that way, as kind of a volunteer in the forum, just giving my feedback. And it got my name out there, and it was really an incredible experience. I love David Brevik. He's my favorite game designer of all time. I love Marvel Heroes. I love Marvel Comics. I love Diablo. So it was a great experience. But there was a feature in that game, and this is where the trivia comes from. There was a feature in the game called the Danger Room. It was part of the X-Men's mansion, so to speak. You'd be there on the front lawn, and all these enemies would come down in waves upon you, and you would just slaughter them in mass, getting all the drops and loot and all the different things you needed. And it was a ton of fun. It was probably my favorite aspect of that game in general. But this is Infernal Hordes, and it's this exact same thing. It's just that Danger Room experience reskinned in a Diablo style and a Diablo flair, with the choices to from the bonuses at the end of every round to affect how the round goes. So, in my opinion, I think the devs put this in here as a way to secretly pay homage to David Brevik and his work with Diablo over the years, inspiring the genre of all the Diablo clones out there, and his amazing work with the game, creating such an amazing concept. It was his hard work that paid off, that made Diablo what it was. It was his ideas. It was his man hours just at his computer at home, grinding it all out, making all the maps and all of it. So, really, big thank you to David Brevik for working with me over the years, but all your work and everything you've done means the world to me. Just proud to be here, be a part of Diablo and the community. But even now, years later, I ended up getting an experience that changed my life to be a member of Google's Pro StarCraft team, StarCraft 2. I did some consulting work with Google a while back in regards to the dark mode feature, helping them design the implementation method to do all the work to get it out there, but also bonuses for top developers and programmers dealing with bugs and things and putting in man hours to get it all done. But also, I had to help design the argument for the board to get them to approve making dark mode, which was a highly contentious issue. They really needed a good argument to do it. It had been something a lot of fans have been begging them to do and implement over the years, and I finally managed to convince the Google boards to do it. So one of them offered me a position on Google StarCraft 2 team after that, and all I had to do was get to triple diamond. So I did, and I was an alternate on the Google StarCraft 2 pro team for a season, and I immediately after getting on the team, I got my butt handed to me. It was so embarrassing, but it was the thrill of a lifetime just to be there and be on the team and to be able to say I am officially a pro gamer at that point. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. That's my experience with Diablo. I love the game, series, everything. Diablo 4 is actually a great game. As much shit as I talk on the forums, I am kind of kidding around 90% of the time. As with Gold, I am a fan, even though you're not my favorite streamer, but I respect the hell out of you, even though I'm technically kind of mocking you and mimicking you in my attitudes on the forum post. Much respect, much love to all the streamers out there. Thank you so much for watching, tuning in to this hour-long video. Again, thank you so very much for tuning in, and I hope this helps you with the Hordes. Remember, the 2n plus a factorial method is right there on your screen, so you don't forget it. But tune in next time. Check out my pit runs. Check out healthides.com for all the updates on what I'm doing every season, and I'll see you in the game. Good luck. Have fun, everyone. Thank you so much.